even if you didn't know anything about this movie, which kind of no one doesn't know what? I don't think most people don't know what is a I don't think most people don't know. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking the highest grossing movies of the year, and we're going to rank them, basically ranking the 10 highest grossing movies of the year with a slight caveat, and we're going to get into that. But first, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and comment what your ranking of these movies is. Follow me on Letterboxd at SarthySwadia, and follow me on TikTok at the Sarthinator. I just created one. I'm confused about it, but I did mention a slight caveat with this list earlier, and I'm going to explain that right now. So as you can see, these are the highest grossing movies of the year so far. The problem here is that I haven't seen Fast X because I haven't seen the Fast and Furious movies, and my dad doesn't like them, so he's not letting me watch them because he thinks I'm wasting my life. I'm trying not to offend the hardcore Fast and Furious fans. That's my dad. I haven't seen Transformers Rise of the Beasts either. I'm going to replace that with John Wick Chapter 4. So now we have 10 movies. If you're confused about all this, I'm just going to say the 10 movies we're ranking are in the description below, and let's get into this. Number 10, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. This movie was actually really disappointing for me. I actually expected this movie to be great from the trailers. Both trailers I actually enjoyed, and I thought this movie was going to live up to that trailer. I thought it was going to be great. I thought Kang was going to be awesome in this movie, and it turned out to be just a mediocre movie in the MCU, and one that has not aged well whatsoever. Now I want to talk about Kang for a second in this movie, because he's definitely the best part about all of it. You have Jonathan Majors giving an amazing performance. He's committed, and the interrogation scene is easily the best scene in the entire movie in my opinion, and he gives an amazing performance. But when you take away Kang, this movie, it's not good. It has bad VFX, some of the worst VFX and CGI we've seen in the MCU. The Quantum Realm, it looks like a complete green screen. I mean, there's one scene in this movie that is insanely green screeny, and it looks terrible, awful. I'm being honest with you. It looks bad. And I watched this movie for the first time when it was in theaters, and I was like, yeah, this is solid. This is fine. This is a fun ride in the MCU. But man, this movie has not aged well. I rewatched it. It was much worse than it was the first time. And I will say the movie does get better from the beginning, because the beginning it was all over the place. I didn't care about what was going on. I felt no attachment to these characters that I have loved for a long time in the MCU. But it was not good whatsoever in the beginning. It did get better, but towards the end it was still messy. The script, it's not good. And how would Ant-Man beat Kang in the end? Like, in the end, it makes no sense. I mean, these Ant-Man versus Kang, they need to make it, they need to have a good ending, so they make Ant-Man beat Kang. Like, why? I just don't understand it. It's not the worst movie ever, but it definitely is mediocre and disappointing compared to my hype going into the movie. Number 9, The Little Mermaid. This movie was actually better than I expected it to be. I did not like the trailers at all for this movie. I thought they looked super generic. I thought the CGI was not good, and I think that is the case. I don't think the CGI is the best in this movie, but when you go out of the underwater stuff, that's when the movie gets better. And in the underwater scenes, the visuals, it was not but the visuals get better. The movie gets better as it goes along. Halle Bailey is great as Ariel. I mean, she's literally perfect as Ariel. And there's some new songs in this movie that aren't very good, but they use a lot of the same songs. There were some songs that they took away. I was like, bro, why I like that one. Some of my favorites they did take away. But, for the most part, some of the new songs were good. A lot of the new songs weren't very good. Prince Eric was good, and Melissa McCarthy, it was better than I expected. I mean, I don't really I'm not the biggest fan of her, but in this movie, she definitely did surprise me. I did enjoy her performance. So, overall, the movie is solid. It's not bad. It's not revolutionary. It's definitely one of the better Disney live-action remakes. I don't really remember it that much, but it was a solid watch, and I think that, people will enjoy it. I don't think it's better than the original, but it's solid, Coming in at number 8 is the Super Mario Brothers movie. This movie was the first movie in 2023 to hit that $1 billion mark, and I believe it's actually solid. I went into this movie thinking they were going to rely on nostalgia and, making you feel good for all the Mario fans, and that they do kind of do that to a degree, but I think this has some great animation. I really, really enjoy brotherly stories, and this movie, it had that, and I enjoyed it, not as much as I wanted between Mario and Luigi, but I think if there was a Mario movie where both of them were on a quest instead of one of them saving the other one and the other one not being in the movie nearly as much, I think it would have been better, but And speaking of stories in this movie, the story isn't insanely good. It's okay, it's fine, it's not great, it's not a great story, but I think what spawns from that story is some great animation. Illumination's best movie in my opinion. That's a hot take, but I think it is Illumination's best movie, and it's just a movie that it will get the job done when you're watching it. Yes, you don't remember it for a long time, but I think the experience of watching it was pretty good. Number 7, Elemental. This movie has incredible animation. It's genuinely fantastic. I talk about the Super Mario Brothers movie having great animation, and that is the case for many, many movies in 2023. You got Mutant Mayhem, you got Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, you got Elemental, you got the Super Mario Brothers movie, you got Suzume, you got Nimona. So many movies coming out this year or have come out this year that have incredible animation. This movie is one of them. It's spectacular, and then I really enjoyed the characters in this movie. Yes, it does fall into the cliches of these, movies, and I did predict where it was going towards the end, and it's just like, yeah, this is gonna happen, it happened, but it doesn't take me out of the movie. It's not one of those movies that's just like, okay, when this happens, it's just like, I'm out of it. That's not the case here. I still think it's a very good movie. Like, this is not top tier Pixar, it's not up to their standards, but who cares? Because Pixar is one of the best studios ever. I mean, Pixar should be trying out new things. This movie is very good. If people are expecting this movie to be the next Incredibles, I don't know what they're thinking. We don't want that, to be honest. I mean, The Incredibles, those are classics. Pixar is in a new era, and in this new era, I think they should be trying out new stuff. They should be experimenting more. So I enjoyed Elemental. It may not be the greatest Pixar movie or even close, but it's still a really good movie. Plus, I think the emotional scenes work very well in the end. Number 6, Barbie. This is the movie that literally took the world by storm. It is the highest grossing movie of the year so far, and it will not be dethroned. I had a lot of hype going into it, but I wasn't overly insane about it like a lot of people have been. A lot of people's like it's their most anticipated movie of the year. That was not the case for me, but I was really looking forward to it, and I think it met my expectations. I think I kind of was in a recency bias mode in Barbie. In my Barbie review, and right now I still think it's a really good movie. The most fun I've had in the theater, I think, all year. But maybe another movie on this list that I'm gonna talk about in a sec. But the fun, those movies where you can just have a good time, sit back, relax, and you're just really enjoying it. This is one of those movies, but it does have a big emotional gut punch at the end. It's not like a gut punch, it's just it's much more emotional than you expect. Even if you didn't know anything about this movie, which kind of no one doesn't know. What? I don't think most people don't know what is a I don't think most people don't know. I don't think a lot of people don't know what this is about, and they just think it's a normal Barbie movie, which it's made for for a girl movie. I don't think a lot of people think that. So, in this movie, everyone, if you are expecting that though, and you're watching this video, It's not that. But if you were expecting that, you would probably go in and be surprised with how emotional it was. And there are many, many jokes, references that will go way over kids' heads. I know I'm 10. I don't think it went over my head because I'm saying that, but you know. Margot Robbie is spectacular as Barbie. Ryan Gosling as Ken is awesome. I mean, he is freaking amazing. I'm just Ken. There are so many aspects about this movie that worked. I don't think it's perfect like a lot of people do. I think there are some flaws with a bit of the pacing. The 3 acts, I feel like they're not, it can feel a bit choppy and they don't feel streamlined enough, and the movie can be a bit overly preachy for my liking. But in general, I think this movie is very good and the most fun I've had in the theater all year, like I said. Number 5, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Easily the best MCU movie of the year, and definitely one of the best movies in the MCU in a long time. This is just an amazing conclusion to the Guardians of the Galaxy. So many moments in this movie are super emotional and just like, they're so heartfelt, and it'll make you laugh, it'll make you cry. I'm not the type of person that cries in movies. I actually watched Good Will Hunting yesterday. That was the first time I've ever cried in a movie. But yeah, this movie still, even if I didn't cry, I still felt very emotional from certain scenes, and it'll make a lot of people cry, not me, but a lot of people, and it'll make you laugh a lot. The jokes are awesome. F-bomb in the MCU. Let's go. Rocket Raccoon is the absolute MVP of this movie. His backstory is fantastic. I did feel it was a bit choppy on first watch, his backstory, combining it with the rest of the movie. But when I rewatched it the other day, I kind of like, it felt more streamlined and smooth, and it felt like it flowed a bit better with the rest of the movie. So overall, not much to nitpick with this movie. I do think there is, a couple pacing problems, but for the rest of the movie, I mean, it's a fantastic conclusion to the Guardians. Rocket Raccoon, the MVP, but all of these characters get their time to shine. I really enjoyed this movie, and I can't wait to watch it again. One of those MCU movies that I just want to watch over and over and over. Number 4, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. This is the movie that has been severely underperforming at the box office, and I know why, but I'm very sad. It's very unfortunate, and I think it's because of the, Barbenheimer, coming out in the same release time that. It's because of Barbenheimer coming out around the same time period. So a lot of people are kind of forgetting about this movie. But guys, please go. My computer turned off. Guys, please watch Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning before it leaves theaters. It deserves a watch in the theaters. What? Please, guys, if you have not seen this movie, you have to see it in theaters before it goes to streaming. I don't care if you have an 8K setup at home. You must watch this movie with a crowd in the theater. What's on? Is there a bug here?
3 hours later.
It's such a fantastic experience. So many moments I was sweating. My palm was, and I was so just riveted in this movie. I do think my only big issue with this movie is there is a lot of like exposition in the beginning. They did repeat themselves a lot, but nothing really else in this movie. I mean, it's fantastic. It's one of the best movies in the franchise, I think. It's in my top 3, so I guess if you call it one of the best, it is one of the best. I really enjoyed this movie. My time in the theater, it was spectacular. Tom Cruise outdoing himself with the stunts, that motorcycle cliff stunt, the train stunt. Every single stunt in this movie is spectacular, and the Mission Impossible series as a whole is spectacular. But he outdid himself with the stunts again. I don't know what's happening in Dead Reckoning Part 2, but man, this movie's awesome. Number 3, John Wick Chapter 4. I could not tell you how excited I was to watch this movie, and man, it did not disappoint. This was the best experience in the theater I've had all year. And I think it was the best experience I've ever had in the theater in my life. It was spectacular. This movie is freaking phenomenal. I mean, the action, the brutality of the action. I mean, there are so many scenes that, the opening scene. From the opening scene, I was locked in to this movie. And this entire movie just kept going from that opening scene. The opening scene, you're in it. You're already in it. Chapter 3 ended on a high note. You're like, yeah, I'm getting revenge. And in chapter 4, you're going out. You're starting out the movie with like kind of right where chapter 4 ended, kind of. I mean, he's been kept with a certain character, blah blah blah, but they transform right into that first action sequence in the desert, and then that transforms to an amazing action sequence in the Osaka Continental, and then after that transitions into one of the best action sequences I've ever seen in my life at a nightclub, and that was insane. The experience, insane. And then after that, it transforms into an even better action sequence that words cannot describe. But the ending of this movie, like, I don't know if I have sweat in a movie theater this much in my entire life, or even in a movie this much in my entire life. It was insane. John Wick Chapter 4 is one of the best action movies of all time. I think it's absolutely fantastic, and I can't believe it's number 3 on this list. Number 2, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Number 2, Spider-Man and Across the Spider-Verse. This is going back and forth between number 1 and number 2, but I still think either way this movie is a masterpiece. It is just, when it comes down to pure entertainment, this movie is with the best of the best. But when you add like layers, including the story being amazing, and it's so gripping, and it's so it talks about betrayal and friendship and so many things like that are just, they're so impactful. And then you have like so many, the animation alone would make this movie incredible, even if the story was awful. But when you add in the best animation I've ever seen in my entire life, you get a top 15, like hitting 10 movie of all time, in my opinion. This movie, it is incredible. I mean, Miles Morales, Gwen Stacy, Peter B. Parker, all incredible characters, and this movie utilizes them perfectly into the story. The cliffhanger, I know it didn't work for everybody. It really worked for me. I thought it was fantastic. It really left me on edge, and I cannot wait for Beyond whenever that comes out. Take your time, guys. I really wanted to come out sooner, but I also don't, because I want them to take their time. Come out whenever you want. Hopefully I'll still be alive. Number 1, Oppenheimer. This is arguably my favorite biopic ever. No, seriously, this movie, it has so much weight to it. It's so emotional, it's impactful, it's revolutionary. The cinematography is some of the best I've ever seen. This is Christopher Nolan's magnum opus, in my opinion. Not his best movie, but his magnum opus. And everything, when it comes down to everything in this movie, is incredible. Now, I want to talk about Cillian Murphy. It's all in the eyes, right? His performance in this movie will go down as one of the most impactful and emotionally resonant performances I've ever seen in my life. I cannot imagine having to carry the burden that he was carrying in this movie. It's insane, right? But then all of the characters are so well written. I know people had issues with Emily Blunt and Florence Pugh. I thought they fit well into the movie. I thought they were good. But you have so many characters. Man, Robert Downey Jr. is fantastic. Speaking of Oscars, this movie literally it screams Oscars everywhere. It is absolutely incredible, and I think this could be his first shot at winning an Oscar. Christopher Nolan, I think it will be, and I think it will win Best Picture at this point in the year. If we were doing the Oscars, today, I think at this point in time it would win Best Picture. Now that Dune is delayed, which I'm so sad about, but now that Dune is delayed, the only huge competition I think it has for winning Best Picture is Killers of the Flower Moon, and I think I'm probably wrong about that, but I think it's Killers of the Flower Moon, and I think this could take the edge. Killers of the Flower Moon could be another Irishman. I mean, I don't know. Hopefully not, but I don't know. I could ramble about this movie for days, but I want to leave you alone. Thank you so much for watching this video. Like I said, comment what your ranking of these movies is. I'm really, really curious about that. And also make sure to subscribe and check out my TikTok. Like I said, I do a lot of, I just started, so there's not a lot of stuff on there, but we're gonna grow it. We're gonna grow it hard, and we're gonna build an empire on there. And did that sound weird? I don't know. And follow me on Letterboxd too. You know, I'm active a lot on there, so if you want to see what I'm watching whenever I'm watching it, check out my Letterboxd. But that's pretty much it for this video. I'll see you soon. Bye.